Hey everybody, this is Dan again. I'm here with Clayton Schroeder, and this is the artist Grapevine. Today we're going to talk to him. He is a singer-songwriter, and he also does some acting. Local creative here in Bloomington, Indiana. How you doing today?
I'm
Doing all right?
great, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a little chilly outside.
I know it. It's been a little cold.
Yeah.
Getting everybody through the flu season, but
Yeah, it's that time of year, huh?
it hasn't been affecting your singing voice too much.
No, thankfully, because I have some coworkers who they've got some sickness, and my goodness, they sound like the Godfather,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just, and some of them I knew that they were actually pretty good singers, and I was just like, I hope that doesn't happen to me. I mean, you never know.
Well, Clayton, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a transplant here in Bloomington. I wasn't born and raised here, but I've lived in Indiana my whole life. I found myself here shortly after college, after my undergrad, and I've been here for 15 years or so. So, well, this is my favorite place I've been in Indiana. So, but I went to school to be an actor at the University of Evansville. But then I found that how I got into acting was I've always been a singer. Like I've always been a singer, and I got into musical theater, and then I got into plays, and that's how I got into college doing theater. But by about my junior year in college, I realized that acting wasn't quite for me. But I still had this passion for music, so I was listening to Simon and Garfunkel on the radio, and I was like, well, maybe I should do that, singer-songwriter. But I didn't play anything at the time.
Right.
So then I went to a pawn shop and picked up a guitar, and all self-taught. And
so you learned how to play after you graduated from college.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did. Now I tried
just like me.
Yeah.
A little late, but you know what? I was one of those things I always wanted to do when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was more into the visual arts than I was music.
Yeah.
But it was always something that I had that itch to try to go back to.
Yeah.
So.
No, I tried to pick up a guitar in college because that's like the cool thing to do, but it just didn't stick.
Yeah.
I didn't have the passion for it. I didn't have the responsibility or the dedication.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, not for me. I've got other things to do. But
yeah.
But after I graduated, I went and bought a guitar, and still the guitar I use today. It's a Guild.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds real nice.
This is a nice guitar.
This is a very nice guitar.
That is a good guitar.
I like it.
I've always wanted a Guild myself.
Once I started, like I said, all self-taught. So once I started learning chords, I was like, well, I should start writing my own stuff.
Yeah.
I started learning other people's songs. Like I had a song book where that's how I learned the chords, was just by playing these other songs. But then once I got the chords down, I was like, all right, now I can write my own stuff. And that's kind of what drew me more away from acting, is that acting is all rejection.
Yeah.
99% rejection. Like you go to auditions and you don't get the part. But I thought, well, what if I can have 100% exception if I make my own stuff?
Right.
And I just perform my own stuff.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's whether or not you're deciding you want to do it, you want to go out and perform for live audiences and get paid for it, or if you just want to sit around the campfire, that was the big appeal to me. There was no, aspirations for me to go out and become a professional musician. It was more just for enjoyment and fun. And it's the best stress reliever. You just pick up a guitar. It's sitting right there in your living room. You pick it up, you strum it, and you just enjoy it. You enjoy your time with it.
Yeah.
And you just kind of forget about your problems for a little while.
Yeah, I'm not, and I never had any aspiration to become a professional musician either. I've never tried to force my music onto other people. I never wanted to be that guy who brought his guitar to a party.
Right.
And here, I'm gonna play my songs for you, or because I don't do covers. So,
right.
So it's like so they're not gonna know my music more than likely.
Right.
So that's a hurdle. But at the same time, like anyone that has heard my music, it's been pretty well received.
Yeah.
People seem to like it, and And I have been in some folk. I played in front of live audiences. I've had paying gigs.
Yeah.
So but it's not something that I pursue.
Right.
I'm just as happy writing my own music and playing for whoever will listen.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were a kid, was it basically you wanted to be an actor, correct? That was kind of the first.
Well, creatively, okay, yes, creatively an actor, I guess. But at first I think I wanted to be a lawyer for a while,
right.
Which kind of goes hand in hand with acting, I think. Because you're performing,
right? You're
performing in front of your jury, the audience, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've always, like I said, I've always been a singer, which was like my bait. That's the foundation, was singing, and then the acting kind of came second, and I thought that was what I wanted to pursue, which is why I went to college for it.
Yeah.
And I still keep my ear to the ground for those dream acting jobs.
Right.
For me, my bucket list.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to do Don Quixote from Man of La Mancha. I'd still love. I auditioned for Eddie in Rocky Horror Picture Show, the Meatloaf part, because all I wanted to do is I just wanted to get on, sing my song, get killed, and get off stage.
Right.
So, but I didn't want to be bogged down with rehearsals. I just wanted to get on, sing a song, and get off.
Right.
But yeah, there's still some acting jobs. The last acting job I did, I did. Speaking of Christmas here recently, I did a reading of The Night Before Christmas as Werner Herzog for the Monroe County Civic Theater.
Nice.
So it was actually at the Players Pub before they tore it down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I think it was a year ago now.
So you had to throw in the accent.
Yeah. I can do the German accent. Yeah. And I know a little bit of German. I know a little bit of Spanish. So, and it's things you pick up along the way. Spanish when you're working in a kitchen and high school, and then German from high school and college, and I actually use that to my advantage with some of my music, where I throw in some, because it's just, it's you write what you know,
right?
And I find myself that I'm more of a clever writer, like because I'm not, when we say singer-songwriter, like that's more encompassing what I am, because like. People are like, I tell people I play guitar, they're like, "You any good?" I was like, "No, not really," but I do like to say that I'm good at what I do.
Right.
Like how I approach it. I think I'm pretty good at what I do.
Nice. So when you were younger, like what age would you think where you were like, "Man, I could do something with this performing."
That's probably
stuff.
Probably high school. Like when I started doing musicals and plays, and I've always been in choir. I had an incredible theater teacher in high school named Mr. Petoskey, and he was, he helped me pick my audition monologue for college, which I got into, which was it was a really tough gig to get into the University of Evansville. They only took like 10 actors nationally per year, so I was very, very, very fortunate to get in, and he was a great mentor and very supportive as far as. And knowledgeable. He went to Indiana State University, and he studied theater there, and then he became a high school drama teacher, among some other things. But
so in high school, he was pretty much your mentor.
Yeah.
And like, who were your musical influences at the time?
Oh my goodness, I had such amazing choir teachers. Yeah. I had at Northview in Brazil was Mr. McCullough. Yeah. In middle school, there was a guy named Mr. Stout. Gosh, he was my show choir director and my choir director. He so I got to learn how to do the jazz steps and the jazz hands, and my choir teachers were incredibly talented and supportive of and great teachers. You always remember your teachers that really affect you, and so they definitely helped shape me musically.
Nice. Awesome. Being a singer-songwriter, could you tell us about like your creative process and how you would craft a song?
Sure. Because I feel that everyone has their own way. Everyone. I'm sure you have. If you're crafting something, you have your own way of doing it. I saw an interview with Paul Simon one time where he was always saying that you should always come up with your melody first, and then your lyrics. and as great as Paul Simon is, I always do the opposite. I always come up with my lyrics first, and then I'm like, okay, well, I hammer out something. Like it's almost like writing poetry. Like I write lyrics, and I cross things out, and I move things around, and then I'm like, okay, after I'm happy with what I've written, then I'm like, okay, now I need to come up with some kind of chords.
I feel that way too. Like I haven't written very many songs, but when I do, I always have to have like there always has to be like a catalyst for a story, and that just comes with me like trying to come up with ideas, and you write them down, and then next thing you know, you're writing a poem.
Sure.
You're writing poetry, and those are your lyrics, and then you try to figure out after that. I do. This is for me.
Sure.
And sounds like for you as well.
Yeah.
The melody comes, later after that, and then you try to figure out how to like mold that around the skeleton, like muscle.
Yeah.
I guess kind of is the best way to describe it.
I mean, and I guess I can understand if maybe it's because I'm not as musically or instrumentally inclined. Yeah. Like so, I mean that's why it's more of the secondary. Yeah. Like I find myself more being the writer and the singer. And then I was like, well, I gotta pull that into there and make that work with what I do. Right. Whereas, as an example, Paul Simon, maybe he's more, trained. Not that I'm saying his lyrics aren't great. He's got some good lyrics, but
do you think that has something to do with him? Maybe like starting with music at a very young age.
I bet it does.
Because you and I both started kind of late with the instrument.
Yeah. But
I felt like I was always kind of creative. I always felt like I always had a million stories in my head.
Yeah. So I mean, we just didn't have the outlet. Yeah.
And then once you picked up a guitar, then you can kind of see like, I can see how this can work. Yeah. I could get these ideas out of my head and put them on a piece of paper where I could look at them and play a tune with it. And tell that story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give like a young artist, like young up and coming aspiring artist?
Well, if they're a musician, first and foremost, this goes with it doesn't even have to be young, old like us. Not that we're old, but that starting later, like if they're not just a kid picking up their first guitar or their first whatever instrument it may be, is that. Well, first you have to practice. I always say it's practice and dedication. It's whatever you put into it. That's as far as like with your musical stuff. But also, and I always it doesn't like this. This is all ages. I encourage people to write their own stuff. Yeah, it's like don't just do it to do covers. Don't just do it to play someone else's stuff. That's fine, but if you can do at least that, you can totally write your own stuff. Right. You can come up with. It's like because it doesn't take much.
You're going to write a lot of bad stuff at first, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I mean, we don't want to just give the impression that they're going to have a number one hit right out of the gate.
No, but like you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure every famous artist has 100 songs locked in a chest somewhere where they'll never see the light of day, and probably have no intention of letting anyone see. But everybody, like you said, has to start somewhere. So.
And I mean, like my all-time favorite musician, singer-songwriter of all time, is Harry Chapin. Did "Cats in the Cradle" and many other songs. But some of his songs they're not all hits. But I like them. Yeah. And I guess you find things that you can pull from. Even from some of the ones that aren't so good, but I mean, but what I love about his music so much is that they're story songs, is that they tell stories, and that's where I feel that I really come from, is that I tell stories with my songs. I don't have too many like mainstream styled songs where it's just a chorus, and then like I love Roy Orbison, just because his songs, and what I love about his songs is that they're not necessarily traditionally structured. Like the Running Scared, Running Scared? Just running scared, and it just keeps building. Like it never really comes to like, it's not your normal like verse, chorus. Yeah. It just keeps building. I love that. I love that. Plus, he's got an amazing voice, so that doesn't hurt. But yeah, so Roy Orbison and Harry Chapin, and I love non-traditional, not kind of mainstream.
I would think Dylan would be like the person who probably started that. His song structure doesn't really have any rhyme or reason in any given song. It could just be, verse after verse after verse after verse with no chorus in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Boots of Spanish Leather. I mean, for me, it's like that song just tells a story from beginning to end, and it doesn't stop until it's done. I mean, it's like he just had something to say, and it was on his mind. He just kept writing. Just got it out of his head, and then put it to a melody. It's like, who writes a song like that? There's not very many people who can pull that off.
You get that's the originality is actually. I mean, that's someone bringing their voice to what they're doing is probably the best thing anybody could do.
Yeah.
And that's what I say about write your own stuff. Like, find your own voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, where can people find your music? If you don't have anything on social media, I completely understand.
No, it's I've got a Bandcamp.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so that's it's been up forever,
and it's something that we can put in the description below. So and Clayton's going to play a song for us here at the end, and we'll make sure that we have some information in the description below on how you can listen to some of his music on Bandcamp. If you like the episode today, be sure to like and subscribe. And we're going to let Clayton, do you want to just go ahead and cut right into a song here for us?
Yeah.
We'd love to hear you play.
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. This has been
so
great.
I know. This is a lot of fun. I want to do more of these for sure. I mean, I'm just getting started with this.
That's awesome. I hope you stick with it and just continue, because this is a great little. Lindsay, my wife, is a amazing artist, and she wants to be on here too.
She is. And we will definitely be featuring Lindsay soon.
Excellent.
Ladies and gentlemen, Clayton Schroeder.
The moon's just reached the trees, and me, I'm catching up. I spread myself too thin again, I'm a tired little pup. They say that destroying's easy, the building's the hard part. 30, 40 years I've bagged in some places, and I'm good for another start. Just give me some smokes and a hard deep breath and a few days on my own. Then I will join you fresh and renewed, back on that road to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. Day by day we're getting closer, with every step and every stumble. All roads lead to Rome. Hush, child, it's one way, together and alone. Dream not the glories of Rome. Keep your focus on the road. No sense in wanting what you will have. We all will meet in Rome. All roads lead to Rome. Day by day we're getting closer, with every step and every stumble. All roads lead to Rome. Hush, child, it's one way, together and alone. Traveling down the road is where we wear our souls. It's where we get our stories and our scars. It's where our paths crossed, the time we got lost down that road to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. Day by day we're getting closer with every step and every stumble. All roads lead to Rome. Hush, child, it's one way, together and alone. That line in there, where I was like 30 years, I was like, wait, I'm 40 years old now. This got to change a little bit. So this song changes as I get older. So dream not the glories of Rome. Keep your focus on the road, and I'll sing a prayer that we'll meet again down that road to Rome.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, well, that's going to conclude the show. And be sure to like and subscribe once again. And have a great New Year, guys. Stay creative, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.